All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another video. All right, y'all, back with another little discussion video here. Shout out the Wildest Moments. Wildest Moments that one of my subscribers, she had asked me if I seen this Ariel Hawani interview with Zhang Weili. And I had watched a little bit of it, but she asked me if I had seen the whole thing. So I went back and watched the whole thing, and I know she wanted to know my take on the whole situation here. But if y'all haven't seen it, basically, Ariel Hawani, I'll just kind of go through the questions that he asked and kind of give my thoughts on, the whole fight that he's been bringing up and what everybody else is bringing up, right? Zhang Weili versus Valentina Shevchenko at this point. And I just keep laughing at it, man, because it's like the only fight that everybody's talking about. And if you don't want to support it, people get mad now, right? But y'all know how Ariel Hawani is too, man. Like, he always be kind of slick with his questions too, like towards the end of the segment about Valentina, just how I'll bring it up here in a minute. But anyways, Ariel Hawani, he asked her the basic questions. He said, hey, did you ask Dana White about the flyweight title fight? And she said, no, nobody asked yet. There's nothing cemented yet. She said, he asked, would you like it to be her next fight? And she said, she'd like that to be her next fight, but timing is everything. And they got to make sure that everything is in her favor right now, right? And, he also asked some things that I had discussed, in the video before he did the interview, as far as would she stay at 125. And she said that the UFC would want her to stay there. If she moves up to 125, they want her to stay. They want her to make it a permanent thing. So that's why she said that it's something that, she has to really consider first, right? And, he asked about 115, Verna Jandiroba being like her only challenge. She said that, yep, that's basically her only challenge, and she wants the big fights. So, again, he asked, so is the Valentina Shevchenko fight, is that just like the only challenge she's looking for at this point? Or does she see like moving up to 125, the big challenge in itself? Meaning that, let's say if Manon beats Valentina, would she still want that? And didn't really sound like she was interested in that. It does really sound like it does seem like Zhang Weili is just chasing the Valentina fight, because I noticed she never really mentions Manon, and like she said, she really wants the entertaining fights that kind of bring the crowd, that brings the crowds out and, really brings the fans in. That's kind of what she's looking for in a move up, the whole champ versus champ thing at this point, right? I think that's what she's kind of trying to do. And yeah, the way he wrapped the thing up too, he was just like, are you getting tired of people asking you about this fight? And basically she was like, yeah, I'm tired of people asking because I just finished this fight and people are still talking about it. Well, that's the thing, she brings it up, or they bring it up and she says yes, and it'll keep on leading on to something else. It always just keeps on, more and more interviewers asking about this big fight because they know that she wants it, and she brought it up before, right? And I like how Ariel asked that kind of slick. He asked it at the end after he asked all the questions. He asked all the questions we wanted answered first. Did you ask about the title fight? Do you want it to be next? Do you want to stay at 125? Is it about Valentina or just fighting at 125? Then he goes, are you tired of asking about this fight? Are you tired of me asking about this? This. She's like, yeah. And he's like, all right, we can move on. So asking like 4 or 5 questions. then he's like, all right, we can move on. So he ain't slick, man. He had to get all his questions out first before, he was going to just jump to the next topic. So he wasn't fooling nobody. But anyways, the whole situation with Zhang Weili asking about this Valentina fight, Dana White, he's already spoke on it. And unfortunately, he did say, I'll say yes to anything she wants at this point. I'll say yes to anything. If she wants to fight, she can have it. But we all know that there's always some type of stipulation in there, right? And according to her, the UFC wants her to make it a permanent move, right? Make it a permanent move. If you want to fight Valentina, then you got to stay at 125, right? So my thoughts on this whole situation right now, Valentina and Weili, it's definitely a good fight. Like, it is a good matchup. I would watch it. I would pay to watch it. In a way, it would deserve to be a main event if it happened. It is a good fight. These are 2 big names. I mean, it has a nice ring to it. Bullet versus Magnum, right? The Bullet versus the Magnum. But right now, the timing isn't good. Right now, the timing isn't good. For me, over here on my channel, I'm a logical person, and I try to be fair. And right now, Weili in a flyweight title fight is not fair to anyone at 125 right now. And specifically, I'm talking about Manon Fiorot. It's not fair to her. It's not fair to Manon Fiorot. We keep talking about this fight over and over like nothing else is going on. And maybe not to the casual fan, but for the fans who are paying attention like myself and the hardcore fans, there's some matches that need to happen. All right? And this is one of them. Valentina versus Manon is a fight that needs to happen. Now, super fight, look, I've said this before in the past. A super fight is nice only if divisions are bare and both champions are bored at this point from dominating their divisions. But 125 is at its best right now. And they really don't need Weili to jump in and stop the momentum. We already had Alexa Grasso move up. Rose Namajunas, they already moved up. We already had some strawweights move up and get in the mix. But we got enough of the natural flyweights that have skills and solid records right now. And they're ready for the flyweight champ. We already got other threats to the champion. And with Shevchenko just getting her belt back, she's ready to match up with any of these new crop of flyweights, right? Or we're ready to see her match up with these new crop of flyweights, right? You know, she said she was ready to get back in business and start getting her rubies back. So let's see that. Now, on the other side, you know, Weili's division, it's not too bad. I mean, I know she's already fought the best, but right now, because you got Jan and Verna fighting soon, you know, Jan and Verna, she'll be on, whoever wins that fight, they'll be on a similar turnaround schedule with Weili. And as Weili stated, you know, she just got done fighting and people are already bringing this fight up next. So this kind of gives her a chance to just, you know, rest a little bit and wait for the winner of Weili, Verna versus Jan, right? You know, she's the one that's been saying yes to the Shevchenko fight. So that's why people are hounding her now. You know, if she would just talk about Verna or even fighting a rematch with Jan, then things would be different. But even when Valentina is ready to fight now on this turnaround time, you know, once I feel like her neck injury is already healed up, right? Because I believe the neck injury is already healed at this point, you know, because you see her back in training. You know, she seems to be going hard as far as training is going now. But anyway, when she's ready to fight, I don't think she's going to wait for Weili at this point, you know, who probably won't fight till like August or September, you know, and that'll be another year again for Valentina where she sits out. Nah, the division has to keep moving, and Val and Manon needs to happen soon, right? It really needs to happen soon because people keep saying Weili's getting older, but they forget that Manon, she's in the same age group and she deserves her first title shot. All right. She deserves her first title shot. Weili's already had her accomplishments and, you know, she's already fought all her title fights, like what, 6, 7 title fights. So let's be fair to the fighter that is over here in the same age group that's already worked her way up. You know, Manon still has something to prove as well. So why bring in all these other good fighters like Manon, Erin, Natalia, Macy, and even Rose moving up just to let them all sit back and let Weili jump the line and then have Manon wait even longer than she's already been waiting, right? That's the crazy part of that. You know, why just say, okay, yes, Weili's going to get to jump in and fight for a title while Manon and all these other fighters already fought, they get to wait. No. And the suspect side of that is just that we don't even know if Weili wants it bad enough. You know, we don't even know if she wants it bad enough to stay at 125 since that's what it looks like the UFC is trying to make her do. Because like she said, like, she didn't ask right away, like, after beating Tatiana backstage or anything, she didn't say, hey, Dana, give me bullet. Give me the bullet. You know, she didn't say nothing like that because he said that once she asked him, she'll say yes. And in this interview, she said they didn't ask it because timing has to be everything. So timing must not be it right now because maybe they're feeling like they're not ready to move up if it's going to be a permanent move now. So that's something that she's thinking about. Probably in her mind, she had a one-shot deal type of situation going on, you know, in her mind, like, I'm going to move up and fight her. But now that they're trying to stretch this thing out, she's got to think about that, right? And I mentioned this in my last video before the Ariel show, you know, is Weili looking for a one-off or a permanent move up? And from the sound of it, like I said, she just wants Valentina because she never really acknowledges Manon or even makes a case that she'll fight Manon if Manon was to beat Valentina. So that's another thing. That's another thing you have to look at. So to me, you know, Weili has to think about this, like she said. To me, she has to think about this before just moving up the fighter because she knows and her team knows moving up to 125 is a different beast. It really is. It's a different beast. Just ask Alexa. Just ask Rose. 125, you have to grow into it. And granted, yes, Weili is strong. She is strong. And she's very athletic. But there's a lot of strong women in this division, and they're thick. They're not frail or fragile. There's no skinny legs in here. You know, Macy ain't got no skinny legs. Aaron's legs ain't skinny. Manon's legs aren't skinny. These girls are thick, and they are strong. Once they get their hands on you, it's a different level of strength. So Weili's going to have to make sure she's built for that. And granted, her not having to cut weight, she probably will be a little bit stronger. But again, look, 5'8", Manon 5'7", Manon, however tall she is. Then you got Aaron, who's, kind of wide. Then you got heavy girls that blow up like Macy Barber, and even Alexa Grasso putting on more muscle. Rose Namajunas is putting on more muscle, So these girls are built. Natalia Silva, Natalia Silva's kind of short, but she is thick. She's got big legs too, and she can move. So there's like a different variety of styles right now. So that's something they have to really consider. Like if they move up and fight Bullet, there's a whole line of fighters that's going to be calling for Weili after, right? So that's something they got to look at. So to me, right now, staying at 115 this year, finishing out her year, or at least like letting this Manon and Valentina fight happen first, that's not a bad idea for her. That's not a bad idea for her because Verna or Jan are opponents they can fully capitalize off of, while Valentina and Manon fight. Verna, that's a legit contender that adds to her 115 dominance to me. Or Jan can be another scrap. They can take to China this time. I know some people, said it wasn't that great of a fight, but, if they took it to China, I'm sure a lot of China fans would want to see it there this time. I don't know why it wasn't there the first time. So, yeah, I just think there's a lot of options that can happen right now without messing up Weili's, weight as well, or, even tarnish her legacy or even damage her physically at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I know she wants this fight, but at the same time, if she says yes to it, it's probably going to rush her into moving up in a division where she might prepare for Valentina, but she might lose to all these other girls and go on like a big losing streak at this point, So that's something you have to think of too. And that's something I kind of look at with these fighters. I don't want to just see them go up there and wreck themselves. It's all about timing. It really is. So when it comes down to it, would I like to see this fight? Sure. At some point, Weili talked about this fight some years back now. I remember her saying that saying that in a video myself once. Once it was like a few years back, but I remember saying this though, like once she gets to a point that she cleans out her division, she should be ready for Valentina because she might be a little bored at this point and of course older and more experienced. So that time is here. It is near, but I also thought Valentina would have been on her like 10th or 11th title defense at that point, and I didn't know that the flyweight division would amp up like this. I didn't know it was going to amp up at this point where somebody would beat Valentina and she would have to fight that person 3 times and kind of revamp herself, So now with that, you got these other fighters here that are ready to fight Valentina. So if Weili is really keen on moving up, I say be humble, take a tune-up fight at flyweight. And I don't really mean like a tune-up fight, like a low-level fight, but somebody like Grasso, if Grasso's recovered at some point at this year, in the middle of the year, or even Aaron Blanchfield. Well, Aaron's probably going to have a fight lined up too, but, grab one of them and go from there and see what happens, because it sounds like the UFC wants her to stay at 125, but in my opinion, she can go for the more, to me, she can go for the more significant matchup at strawweight right now. And that would be like the winner of Verna Jan, which would be on the same turnaround time, because other than that, you have to fight somebody else at 125. I know Rose wasn't a champion at the time when she moved up to 125. That's why she fought Manon, to move up. But I think that Zhang Weili might have to do the same thing if she wants to move up to 125, because if they want it to be permanent, you better go ahead and try to fill out, get the muscle, and then, fight whoever the winner of Valentina Manon is, at that point. But that's how I see it, guys. That's how I see it across the board with this one. I think it is an interesting fight. Like, I would love to see it at some point. But right now, there's another flyweight fight that I really want to see, and that's Shevchenko Fiorot. Let that one happen first. If Valentina wins, then go ahead and do your thing. But if Manon wins, let's see if you keep that same energy and you want to move up and fight Manon for the belt. Good, fine. I still want to see like Manon versus Natalia at some point, or Manon versus Grasso at some point. But if Zhang Weili wants Manon and Manon beats her, hey, let's see that then. Let's see if she's still chasing greatness then at that point. And, I don't know if it was just something about the Bullet because of the name, but let's see if you can get one of these other big, strong girls up in there. But that's my thoughts on it, guys. What do y'all think in the comment section? Combo Breaker 99 is WMMA Talk. Hit the like, subscribe. I'm out. Peace.